Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Studs. I am your host, Daniel.
I'm Justin.
I'm Chris.
And we are bringing another episode today. I'm actually not really even hosting today all that much. I'm going to pass it off to, as we always say, the venerable Justin.
Venerable.
Making a grand return.
My older brother.
Yes, older brother.
But we are going to be talking about the whole process about commission building, Lego commission building today. So I will pass off the hosting torch.
Okay, thank
here
you.
to you, Justin.
I will do it justice.
And you can sort of lead our discussion here today.
So, does Lego not make things that you want? Well, Atlanta Brick Co. has you covered because we have these gentlemen right here and a few others that work at the store that actually make custom commissions. And the limit is your budget. Whatever you want.
Yeah, more so than your imagination.
This store has made all sorts of things for all sorts of major companies and brands, all the way from Chick-fil-A to personal gifts, wedding gifts, birthdays. We're going to talk about the process. We're also going to talk about the one commission we eventually just had to give up and say no to, and it got pretty far in the process.
Yeah, very far.
So there's your little teaser for the end.
The one that got away.
What types of things do people normally ask for commissions for?
Okay, so on our commissions page on our website, we try to deter people as much as possible from asking for a commission because you have a lot of hobby builders that are like, oh, I'd like this, but I can't build it. Maybe I can pay Atlanta Brick Co. to make it for us. But what they don't understand is that just the time alone to design it may take Daniel a whole day, which, you know, with his pay, you're talking thousands of dollars. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. So, yeah, I'm going to retire here in a couple years.
So that's just the cost of designing it.
Yeah.
You know, so most of the cost involved is man hours. The more you do, the cheaper it can get.
I noticed that on the website. It was very honest. It was like, these things can get expensive.
Yeah.
Man hours actually cost more than the bricks themselves oftentimes.
Well, you think about all the engineering challenges that goes into it. You've got to account for the stability of the model, the looks and aesthetic of it, and all of that stuff. And all of that time that goes into it, you know, designing a custom kit or a custom build is an economy of scale, right? So Lego can design these models, but they're making millions of copies of these sets. You're talking about taking all those man hours and boiling it down. They have to front the cost for all of that. Whereas with a standard Lego retail set, it's dispersed amongst all of those millions of sets they're producing. So that's why it really kind of stacks up there if you're doing a one-off.
Oh yeah. So as far as legitimate requests go, it's usually a company looking for one of many things: a display model for a convention, gifts for their employees, display models for parties that they're doing, Christmas parties,
Trade shows is a big
trade shows. One was a big Delta jet that we did. That was for a managers conference. They were going to have 5 of them throughout the year at a hotel, so they had it at a hotel up in Atlanta. It was actually the Renaissance Hotel that steps. Like when you're going down the runway, you see that. When we were moving down here back in 2006, we moved down here. We flew in, we stayed at that hotel, and all night long, the planes are coming in, and you smell the fuel in the room, and it actually was awesome. It was cool. You get the whole experience.
So a link to that video is down in the description because we did follow Chris, them putting that into the hotel. It was an enormous jet, and Delta actually
5
provided
feet, maybe.
Yeah, and Delta provided this big backdrop to take pictures. It was really, really cool.
And then we took it from there a year later, and we moved it over to their training center. So now it's up at their training center.
Yeah, the
Atlanta
Tech
Brick Co.
Ops
did
office,
that.
I believe. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's another name drop? So we said Delta was a huge corporation. What's another name drop?
Well, we did a Boar's Head truck. Now this one was a gift for all of their distributors at the time, owner-operators that distribute their meat, I think. There was hundreds of them.
They got a lot of those.
Yeah.
Most of these are one-offs.
Yeah.
Or you just make a couple of them.
Sure.
A couple of copies. This one you had to have how many?
It was over 100. It was maybe 400 of them.
What is the process for sourcing that? And did you run into any trouble? Like, man, we can find 100 of everything but that piece. Like, what?
So this is funny. I love to talk about the costs of this stuff.
Absolutely.
You think the more you do, the cheaper it can be. And that is the case with when Daniel was talking about economies of the scale when you're making more sets because you're spreading the design cost out over all these sets. However, there may only be, here's a kind of an odd piece. This is a, what would you call that name?
The truck exhaust.
That's a very specific piece. There may only be 50 of these available online for sale. So
how do you get 100?
You can't get any more. So you've got to either use a different piece or build it out of something else. So number one, just the research alone to get the right pieces when you're designing a kit is a big cost, because that adds more time. But then to get pieces that are available is more expensive. So sellers, mostly on Bricklink, have realized that, hey, they have more than anyone else of this one product, so they can ask a premium for that. Because if you want 100 or more of them, you're going to have to pay up to get it. So actually, the more you buy, the more expensive the parts can get.
Not less, like in the outside business world.
If I want 5 of these, I might pay 5 cents each. But if I want 1,000 of these, I might have to pay $2 each.
So someone watching might be thinking, well, why can't I go to like 10 different sellers and buy 20 each? Is that more cost effective?
I've never had. I won't do that.
Okay, why not?
It's too much work.
Oh, okay. It's a convenience. So you're paying for the convenience.
Yeah.
Got it. Does shipping end up balancing it out?
That, and quite often, if you have to go to that many sellers, you just still can't get it as many as you need. Because everybody's got like 1 or 2 of them.
Oh, okay.
Not 50 here, 50 there.
Say
it's usually 1 or 2 people. And this is actually and the reason why is because there's Bricklink sellers out there that will buy up all the smaller quantities so that they have all of them.
Yeah.
And then they raise their price. And they've actually, this happened when we were doing a commission build to us. We were doing the blood vessel build. Biggest build we've ever done to date, and one of the first commission builds we did. Went off without a hitch. It was perfect. It was awesome. However, it was very hard. We had to have a lot of red. It was a 5 foot tall, 4 feet wide statue with all red and white. We had to have a lot of red bricks. We had just gotten a lot of red bricks, and we had just sold them on Bricklink, all of them. The guy who bought them from us turned around and quadrupled the price on them. And we had to buy them back from him for 4 times what he had just bought them from us for. And that made me so mad. Oh! I'll never forget that. And that is when I realized that's why there's not like, this guy has 50, this guy has 50, this guy has 50, and they all add up to 1,000, right?
One person has them all.
One person already bought all those 50s up, and they have them all, and their price is 10 times what it should be. So if you're ever looking at Bricklink and everybody has like 1 to 5 of something, and there's a lot of them, but then there's this guy with 1,000. It's like, how did he get 1,000? It's because he bought up all the other quantities.
Yeah. Got it. So he's sitting on his nest egg and waiting for someone like Atlanta Brick. One day, someone's gonna need 1,000 of these.
And there are a lot of companies out there that are doing it. I don't want to drop names because we actually buy from them a lot.
Yeah,
because we have to.
Was that one guy with the red bricks blacklisted?
No.
We still
buy from him every time. That's why I don't want to name names.
So any other challenges as far as, so he talked about the planning. What about challenges of building 50 of these? I'm thinking of like just the logistics of making sure every single piece on all 50 of them are counted and make sure they're all in the bags and the instructions are printed 50 times. Do you guys do that yourself? Do you outsource it?
Yeah, so it's a lot of moving parts. We do all the packaging, the instructions ourselves. If we do like these clamshells, it's like a clamshell and a card like inside of it. So it's a lot of different moving parts that we have to make sure that we're getting all those pieces to try and get them all at one time so that we send the parts home to assemble them into the kits. They can preferably do it all at once, right? If they have the packaging and the backer cards, and then if we get the instructions printed, they all need to be folded. Like every one of these steps, when you're talking about multiplying it out by 100, 200, or more copies of the kit.
Not everybody can sort the pieces to do these kits because we've had people in the past that are very good at Lego. They're very smart people, and when they go to sort kits for us, they mess up. Yeah. And so I actually used to only do it myself, and then I realized I was messing up a lot. So we actually have only a couple people that do it for us, and we send them home with them to do it, and they do a great job.
Who does the box for you? I've never seen something like this.
That was Boar's Head did that themselves.
They did that. Okay.
So we offered, and we can actually do something. We've done something since then. Mm-hmm. In fact, didn't we do it for that and this?
Yeah, for Crash Champions, I think was what we ordered them for, but we got pretty much the same size black box, and we did a printed label that went on the front of them that looked really nice for this model here of the Crash Champions storefront.
So we actually have that in stock.
I assume Boar's Head was very happy with this.
Yeah, they were.
I think they ordered multiple times too, didn't they? Didn't they come back and order some additional quantities later?
I can't remember how long this process took. This was quite a while ago. But we worked with their corporate office. A lot of times we'll work with like a marketing agency. A lot of big companies outsource to a marketing agency or technology company or a sourcing company. Whereas Boar's Head, we were able to work directly with their corporate office.
I'm curious because Boar's Head is not a toy company. Boar's Head, I mean, it's a meat. But someone in the organization said, you know what would be cool? Lego. Let's do that. It's so cool.
Well, what's interesting is they've been doing stuff like this for a long, long time. Look at all the tool trucks, the Hess trucks, the toy Hess trucks that have been collectible since the 80s. Even, I mean, going back to the 1930s and 40s, you've got advertising gifts that you give people. You know, this is just another form of an advertising gift. Yeah. And if you think about it, this Lego is the #1 toy in the world. Why not? Who doesn't want a Lego gift?
A lot of them will do it just, because they want a desktop trinket or something if they're giving them away as gifts. But then a lot of the like one-off large sculptures and things that we do for these corporate clients, it's typically because the corporations have some sort of metaphor as part of their like marketing scheme for that year. That's something about building. We're building relationships. We're building our network. Whatever. And they're like, oh, what if we got Lego to go with our building?
Yeah, we have a bunch of studs.
Building
that
bridges.
Work here.
Building. Yeah, exactly.
So back to the question about what our most requested commissions are. One of them would be wedding gifts.
On the personal side, I would say wedding gifts. I mean, we also get retirement gifts, birthday gifts, anniversary gifts, but wedding is a big one for
those go to Lego fans, I assume.
To individuals, as
usually,
opposed to corporations.
right?
It's
like
an individual, It's
a spouse or friend that knows, hey, my buddy likes Lego. I know nothing about Lego.
Yeah.
I'm going to call Atlanta Brick Co. Okay.
And I would say the number of individual commission customers is probably 50-50 with corporate customers.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they're just on a smaller scale.
Okay.
So, as an example, we did a wedding chapel. There's a famous little white chapel in Las Vegas that we did, and it was minifigure scale, so it was only that big. Another one we did for a personal was they wanted their kids' stuffed animals made out of Lego with instructions. Right?
I don't think we did. No, I don't think we did.
We didn't do instructions. Okay.
No.
So that's something we offer, is to just build a model and send it is easy.
Yeah.
It's easier
than
actually providing instructions.
Yeah.
Making instructions for these basically doubles the cost of it for one model.
Well, and that's a big misconception, too. This comes up a lot when customers reach out to us, and one of the first questions I'll ask, I'll be like, well, do you have reference pictures? What size do you want it? And do you want it as a finished build or as a kit with instructions? And a lot of people will write back thinking that the kit with instructions is cheaper because we haven't built the model. They're thinking that we, I guess, either digitally design it and make the instructions anyway, and that to build the model it would require the extra time for us to follow our own instructions to build it. And it's like, no, I mean, we prototype the models physically first, typically. Sometimes we do studio design work, but typically we're building the model first, and then to make instructions you have to disassemble it while making a studio model of it, basically to convert it, then make the instructions, do the packaging,
so this
print
is a good
out.
example of that, Daniel.
This
was a personal gift. You talk about it because I don't even know what it is.
This was, I think, the first commission project I ever did. It was either this one or the orange mosaic that you were talking about earlier. One of those two was my first ever. This was definitely my first kit. So it was a gift for a retired employee of NASA, I believe.
I think it was one of the NASA contracts.
Maybe,
So they may have been.
Either way, it was an engineer who worked on the design of this satellite, which was the UARS, or Upper Atmosphere Research Satellite. I mean, this was just a blast to work on as a model. It's somewhat delicate as a model, but
a hard first commission project, I think, because for one, being the guy that has to pay for everything, This took Daniel a long time.
Yeah,
but he
longer than I
nailed
should
it.
have at the time.
He not only did he nail it, but and again from a cost perspective, is look at all the metallic gold elements on there.
Me looking at this, not knowing what it is, like it's just there's stuff everywhere.
It's just a box with a lot of stuff on it stuck on the side. Yeah,
But the original, actually, the pictures of the original, all this is like tinfoil, isn't it?
Yeah, it really would be more of a chrome color, but like that's not possible.
And you even made your own sticker for it.
We did a little
it's a
kind of
UCS set.
style
That is
plaque
awesome.
for it with some of the statistics about the weight of it and the years that it was in service up in space. And
So, since this is a one-off, is this a duplicate or
this was a duplicate. I just made, since we had made the instructions for this, they ordered 2 copies, I think, with instructions. I think it was one for himself and then one for maybe another coworker of his from that time period. But they ordered 2, and we had made the instructions anyway, and I was just happy with it as the first commission I had ever done. So I just built myself an extra copy. I mean, you mentioned the rarity of some of these parts, but it is somewhat fortunate for us, here working at the store. I think I found the majority of these parts here at the store. I don't think we had to order a ton of actual parts for this. Maybe some of these solar panels and some other specialty parts. But
let's talk about this Crush Champions.
So this was sort of a 2-part one, kind of similar to the Chick-fil-A in a way. So they ordered a large-scale model. It was, 64
like
by 64
scale,
studs.
maybe?
Yeah, about minifigure scale. So it was, let's see, because this is 32 by 32. So I think it was double this scale. I think it was 64 by 64 studs. 20 inches by 20 inches? They ordered that first for use in their holiday commercial. They were filming a commercial where they were going to talk about...
it was a really well done commercial.
It was a well done commercial.
So this was a marketing agency that reached out to us on behalf of Crash Champions.
Yeah.
What is Crash Champions? What do they do?
Collision repairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they're at, I think 60 might have been there with the number of locations they had or something.
Maybe.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't remember, but they're like out in the Midwest, down all the ways down to Texas or something like that. You've seen them.
Okay.
Actually, we have one here.
Do
in
we?
Fayetteville. I think I forgot to tell you about this. I was driving through Fayetteville recently and I saw one of these.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think they
That's
did this
cool.
shortly after they rebranded too. I think they might have been known by a different name before that. So anyway, we first did this big model for their holiday commercial.
In the commercial, they didn't ask us.
Yeah.
But they said Legos.
Yeah.
You know, with Legos, every piece matters, just like everyone on our team matters. You know, with Legos.
It was such a well done commercial. It was so good.
And then they ruined it.
It was like the CEO of the company who said it too. I mean, whenever these companies order a big model like this or something, again, it's usually a metaphor or something of building. So we got a good chuckle out of it. It's like we could have helped you with that.
So in the future, if you're going to put it in a commercial or any media, we have to approve the script first.
We'll give you free
So
consultation.
they were Crash Champions was happy with it, and then they ordered a smaller scale to give out as kits with instructions.
And a second big build. They did a second big build too. I don't know what they needed the second large scale one for. Maybe to send to their
Home office or
corporate
something.
headquarters.
Okay.
Yeah, something.
And Chick-fil-A did something similar. So that was probably the most time I've put into a model.
Yeah.
The Chick-fil-A
That was
build
enormous.
Huge.
There's
It
2
was
different ones, right?
4 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet.
Because it fit on a pallet. Yeah.
And it was tall. A bunch of us worked on it.
It was a store, right? It was their new store?
No, it was their original first standalone location. So Chick-fil-A started in food courts and malls. And then when they had their original first location somewhere in Atlanta,
North Druid Hills, I think.
North
was
Druid
the
Hills, they
location.
wanted a tree over it with roots under it. And you could see the roots and everything. And it was
Again, big metaphors.
represent the roots that one store planted and grew. And they had this at their managers conference meeting out in San Diego.
Yep.
At the baseball stadium out there.
This is their like once a year big like managers symposium thing. Yeah.
Huge. I actually helped put Lego on it, which I usually don't do. Then we had to build a skeleton for a lot of it. So when you go to Legoland and you see these giant Lego models, quite often there's a metal frame inside. So I had to build a metal frame, a wooden box, and then we built around that. I had to ship it built, not glued either.
I was going to say that. It was a glued. Okay.
We try not to glue them because if it breaks glued, there's really no fixing it. But if it breaks not glued, you can fix it.
Because any piece can go anywhere, whereas the glued one, it has to go
Usually
exactly.
it'll break the Lego,
Yeah.
It'll deform it. And
So
blow up.
we haven't had to glue much, but we have had to glue some.
Yeah.
So Marvel always wanted their stuff glued.
Yeah. Actually, I think on the Chick-fil-A, I think the only thing we glued was there was a sign, because it was a tall, skinny sign on a thin post. I think we glued part of that.
So, and Chris casually mentioned Marvel. We've had
yeah.
Marvel, those rapscallions, they wanted their stuff glued.
when they come to us all the time.
So stuff, not commission builds, but stuff has been built by Atlanta Brick Co. employees for Marvel movies, like Into the Spider-Verse, I think, or was it the Homecoming had the Death Star?
No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Death Star. They brought the Death Star back for No Way Home.
Yeah, same
gang. And we had to glue that. It's like 5 or 6 different ones, and then and that was, they wanted us to do it. We advised against it. They wanted us to do it, and then for Peter's room, they bought like 20 Lego sets and had us like space stuff, sciencey stuff, and had us glue them all together, and never used one of them.
Yeah.
And
Marvel money. It's Marvel,
Yeah.
Disney money. But you were talking about Chick-fil-A, sorry.
Yeah, so with Chick-fil-A, we had to send this big thing, and this tree is, you know, it's massive.
Oh, the weight of the canopy. I mean, it was all built out of like green 2x8s
So
and 10s.
knowing that we had to do this, we built it to fit on a pallet perfectly. Pallets are 42 by 48, I think. 43 by 48, I don't know, something like that. So we built it to fit on a pallet. Then we had a problem getting it out the door, because we only had normal doors, and we had to take the tree off and get it out.
We could just tip the whole base sideways.
Luckily, that night it wasn't raining, because we were on a timeline. We were behind on it, I would say. It all worked out fine. We got it there in time, but there was no time to spare. We got it out back outside. That Friday, I spent 10 hours building a crate for it that you didn't need screws to put it together or take it apart, and then I made a 45-minute video on how to unpack the crate and then repack the crate with no screws. It got out there without breaking, and it came back to their corporate office, and it's now on display at their training center.
At the support center is
Support
what they
center
call
is what
their
they call it.
headquarters.
Yeah, they also have a Batmobile, a movie Batmobile there.
Yeah, we went up to see the model after they installed it.
You did.
It was nice.
I was busy that day, unfortunately. But
It was
did you
fun.
get Chick-fil-A?
It was fun. Yeah, they had a little cafeteria. I think we got a coupon or something for some sandwiches.
Nice.
Got to see their gift shop. I mean, that was what the big one was for. That was what was special about the managers conference that year. It was the retirement party for Tim Tassopoulos, the current CEO at the time. Yeah, I think their original idea was that they were going to give him that one, but then they realized like how huge it ended up being, and he probably didn't want something that size.
So you made a smaller version?
Again,
or?
kind of like a half scale.
Okay.
Down.
Kind of like this, actually.
Yeah, similar, more of a micro scale than a
But
minifig
with the,
scale.
the big tree over it.
Still had the restaurant, had the tree, had the roots, everything, which was really fun to do. It's always kind of fun to do something in mixed scales, same building, different scales. But I mean, that was probably the most ironic thing about that project was that Chick-fil-A is headquartered right up the road here in Atlanta. Like, we could have driven it up there, but no, it had to be shipped all the way to the West Coast and then shipped back.
Yeah.
And it seemed to survive okay both ways.
At least Delta, we just got in Chris's van or whatever and drove up there.
We were expecting them to call us, potentially when it got back, like if we needed to come and maybe fix up the model a little bit before it went on permanent display. But
They didn't have to. It's amazing.
Yeah. It worked out.
So have you copyrighted that box? Is that a Chris cut?
I have no idea how I did it. I'm remembering now, but
it was a
you
tailored
have a 45-minute
solution.
video
it is
to
just
reference.
like Lego. I like doing stuff like that. 'Cause it is just like Lego. But you're working with wood and you can cut it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was just finding, out back we have all that scrap wood, pallet wood. I mean, there's just wood everywhere. I was finding foam signs. This store used to be an antique store. And there was an antique store sign that was too nice to throw away, along with all the other crap back there.
Yeah.
And it was made out of this solid foam. I needed a box to cover the top of the tree, and so I found that sign. It was dark out.
Yeah, there was like a secondary box.
And it was freezing cold. And I found that sign, because I was out of wood, and I cut that sign up and put it up there.
It was cold. You're right. This was like January. Yeah.
And I made a box without screws. Somehow.
I don't know.
You might have a whole nother
it was
company right here.
We have a video of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was definitely a tailored one-off solution for that specific build.
Didn't look bad.
No.
Do you want to talk about this one? What's NetSpy?
NetSpy is a software security company.
Okay.
And they are located in out Midwest, Wisconsin, Minnesota, something like that. And they were giving these out for a while. They're not doing it that we're aware of anymore, but they were employee gifts. So every employee got one that year, and they were growing really fast, hiring a lot of people. So they were giving them out to new employees.
And this is their mascot?
Yeah.
So did they have a limited supply, or did they do several orders?
Probably half a dozen times.
Okay.
Yeah, they would order in, I don't know, increments of 60 to 100, but they ordered at least.
What's absolutely crazy about this is, we order everything from the United States if we can help it, but this large white dish, we had ordered them all. So then we went out to Europe. We ordered them all from there, and we might have 5 or 10 of them left.
I don't even know.
But
it was, yeah.
But we bought them out. Lego doesn't make that part anymore. We bought Bricklink out. I think we were paying $2 each for those dishes.
Could be.
And I see them on the pick-a-brick table all the time now, but Lego doesn't make them anymore. So they stopped ordering these, and I'm not sad because we would have to totally change up the design.
Well, and it was funny that you brought up earlier, other stores buying out people of parts just to corner the market and resell them. We've had people reach out to us on Bricklink, not accusing us, but, asking us.
We got banned. I'll call them out. I think it's the 13th Warrior Bricklink store out of Wisconsin or Minnesota, because he thought we were buying all of one part to resell it for a higher price.
Which is what he probably does.
It was
right?
I remember exactly what it was. It was a skeleton arm or something, a leg. I think it was a skeleton leg for the Mothman building kit.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, how come I can't buy from you? I've never had a problem with you before. And he said, it's because I don't sell to people who are trying to corner the market on parts or something like that. And I said, I'm not. This is for a commission building project.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was for the museum kit.
The Triceratops.
Do you have it? It was a museum kit of a Triceratops for a children's museum.
Yeah.
And I said, this is what this is. I sent him pictures of it, and he was like, no. And so he banned us from buying from his store.
Yeah. That's maybe an extreme example. Some of them have just, reached out and politely asked us, hey, are you, buying these to resell them? We're like, no, we're assembling kits and products with them.
But it sounds like that's the business model on Bricklink. Is that's what people do?
A lot of people do that.
Some of the larger stores.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not that we've ever done it, and we never will, because we don't have a perp. There's no reason to do that.
And you would be able to tell if we were doing it, because we would have that part listed in high quantity on our Bricklink store.
So we're reselling our parts on Bricklink that we have that we just are extra parts.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of Bricklink sellers do. It's just their extra parts.
It's a hobby.
Yeah.
Right? It's not part of their
or they're
finances.
parting out kits, and that's how they source out their Lego. With us, anything extra that we have, we probably have a few of those dishes. We probably have some red slopes left. We always had a little extra of everything.
Have you ever been like, darn, we're short. I know there's a set on the shelves now at Walmart. I'm going to go down and buy 20 of them just to get that. Has that ever had to happen? Okay.
So, I don't think we've ever been that desperate.
Never. Okay.
We do. We actually have a Bricklink store 3 miles down the road. His son actually now works for us in shipping. Rob the Builder.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And he comes and gets parts from us. We go get parts from him. It works out well.
Okay, so he's a good emergency source.
Comes in handy in a pinch, because he's local. He can bring them, same day, next day.
This one is pretty cool. Can you explain what this is?
Sure.
That is just awesome looking.
Yeah, this was a spaceship from a video game. I'm trying to remember. Executor was the name of the ship that an individual wanted designed, and we again made this one as essentially a one-off kit. We might have made 2 copies of this one for him. I think it was one for himself to keep, and then he was going to try and gift one to like one of the actual designers from the game. I don't think it was a super high-profile game, but really cool ship. Nice, sleek design. A lot of cool angles on that one. So that was a really awesome one to get to work on. The instructions for that one was the biggest thing that I contributed, and that was a challenge for some of these to figure out how these parts were assembled.
So why don't you build in a digital program first? Is that just your method?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the builder. I mean, I've always preferred to build things physically first. There are lots of builders out there who do design in studio first, and that, if that works for them, fantastic.
My answer to that would be a lot of people would want to do that first. How do you like building personally? Just
I would do it. Just grab the pieces.
You would like to, right?
Yeah.
And I think anybody would. However, they don't have the parts.
Yeah.
We have all of the parts, basically, and it's all sorted. And
what was the most challenging one that Atlanta Brick Co. has ever worked on?
Challenging commission project overall?
Mm-hmm. Was it the big blood just because
I would
so
say
big?
it would be the blood vessel is up there.
Okay.
Number
Delta.
one, it was one of our first commission building projects. I mean, we're talking 8 years ago in our old building. That company wanted this massive statue.
Oh, this thing was,
blood vessel.
4 feet tall?
5 feet tall, 4 feet wide in diameter. And they didn't know what they wanted, but they wanted it built live at the convention, ASH, Association of Hematology. It was a huge convention. You're talking multi-million-dollar healthcare booths. Every booth was a big deal. They wanted this giant Lego model built live at the convention. Well, how in the world do you do that? And the physics of the model, they just didn't work in Lego because you've got blood vessels hanging out all over the place.
There's a bunch of globes, right?
And blood cells.
Yeah.
White and red blood cells hanging everywhere. And the red ones are kind of weird looking. They're flat with a
the donut-looking
thing in it. And then the white ones are balls. And they're all heavy. They're about this big each. The guy building it came to me and said, I give up. Can't do it. Oof. I can't do this. He was sweating and just disturbed, and I was like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, that's not an option, and I really don't want to do this. I went over and I figured out the physics of it for him, and then how to build the balls. All you had to do was build a sphere. I said, you build the sphere, I'll figure out how to hang them. So we took a umbrella stand, and then somehow I built arms coming off the umbrella stand, and then we covered it in Lego, and then we just had a hole in it, and we hung the balls on it, almost like hanging them on a Christmas tree. And you couldn't see any of that. All you could see was
so that was
Lego.
Not planned out ahead of time. Like the idea was to just go there with a bunch of bricks and just start building.
Well, no, it was planned out ahead of time.
Okay.
So everything's a lot of these builds are last minute builds. So for individuals, usually we have a lot of time. Companies and corporations, it's always like they don't give us enough time. About 2 months in advance, we started building it live once ourselves to figure out how it was going to work. When we got to the event, we built it. And they wanted us to record the whole thing.
You built it twice?
Yes. Well, you have to build it once to make sure that it's going to work.
Wow. Okay. So what worked? I guess I'm confused why the person who was building it had such a challenge because he already did it once.
How are you going to stack? You build all these balls, and then how are you going to make a ball hang in the air?
But he did it once already, right?
No,
that was when.
No, that was the practice. That was the practice, building it once. What we did is we pre-built balls, and and on top of all this, they wanted guests to be able to help build it.
Wouldn't you love that? You're building something to have strangers come up to you.
This is the other thing that comes up a lot with the companies.
We pre-built all these balls and then the red flat blood cells, and we had them under the table, and we would just pull them out.
Ta-da!
This comes up a lot. We get companies who want a live build, a interactive build where they can contribute to it. They're always very short timelines, or they want something that's just too big for the available timeline. This comes up all the time, and it happened again recently. We did another great project. Again, in retrospect, fantastic project. We were working for Bank of America. They were doing another big managers symposium up in Washington, D.C. This was only, I don't know, maybe a month ago. This was very recent.
Daniel actually went up there
in
person to man the event.
Event attendees, they want that a lot. But, I mean, they messaged us 2 weeks before the event.
It couldn't have been 2 weeks. There's no way. Because we actually built Commission. We built, what did we build? The Washington Monument.
Maybe it was like 4 weeks before, but I think that the first week was spent all doing the quoting and the figuring out the options. They take a lot of time. Again, it's through a marketing company, so they have to go back and forth between us and the client to get approvals and get all the numbers squared away. And then I think it was only about 2 weeks worth of building and then a week's worth of
was it? Was
travel
it
and logistics.
A building? Or
Well, it was in D.C.
Several different
monuments.
things.
Oh, they wanted D.C. monuments. Okay.
Their original ask was a lot. It was like a big model of their office building, several big models of DC monuments. They wanted like a whole mosaic wall where people could like come and add flowers and leaves to the mosaic
cherry blossoms.
wall. Cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
A minifigure building stations. A bridge. They wanted a giant like 4-foot long model of the Anacostia Bridge, which I think was maybe some project they were financing. So it was like a lot of different stuff. After talking with them, we kind of scaled it down to what was realistic in the time period and found what was going to work for both of us.
And this is the one where I was probably hands off the most I've ever been hands off. Daniel just took it and
it was really fun.
Handled it. Fortunately, he is from up that area.
Yeah. So
how far was your house?
The event was in DC. It was at the National Building Museum,
which
is 45 minutes. Yeah. The National Building Museum is a beautiful space. But again, we just kind of managed some realistic expectations. We said, well, all right, you want monuments? We can rent you, these 2 copies of these existing Lego architecture sets. That crosses off the Capitol building and the White House. Then we custom built a Washington Monument, a Jefferson Memorial. They wanted a live build for their big office building. So, I mean, I worked back here in the back building this office building that, again, I think was 4 base plates, so 64 by 64 studs and probably, 2 feet tall. So I had to build the whole thing back there, then unbuild it, transport all the unbuilt parts, and then build it again on site. And I did that from memory because it was an office building. Pretty much the middle was all repetitive. So basically what I did was I took the roof off, I hid it under the table, like you were saying. I unbuilt all the middle floors, which were all repetitive, and I could remember that because I had done it so much. And then I left the first floor, and there was a little street and a street lamp and trash cans and a bunch of other fun little stuff.
I'm just thinking, like, if they want attendees at these conferences to help you build, like, this is how I would do it.
Now there's travel fees, lodging fees, transportation. I had to rent a U-Haul van to transport all this.
What did you have for lunch that day?
Filet mignon.
Panda Express is the most.
Amazing
and
very difficult.
It was a very stressful, 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it was.
Anytime they give you a time crunch, which is they always give you a time crunch, it gets stressful.
Yeah.
The Delta plane was insanely stressful. Were you here when we did that?
Only the tail end of it, the very tail end.
Our builders both got sick for like an entire month. And
from building?
I don't know. I don't know. And it just made the time crunch like so much harder. The same thing happened with Chick-fil-A, I think.
Chick-fil-A was hard.
And that's why I actually had to jump in and put bricks on it.
But you also, because that one we like you said, we started with the base and the structure to hold it all up. So you typically help a lot with that stuff.
This was actually from a commission build. There was no stress involved in this at all, I don't think, except that we had to go to Atlanta for it.
What was the commission for?
This was the Beanie Bubble movie.
For our podcast listeners, this is our backdrop in the studio here. It's a big picture of the classic space Galaxy Explorer. So go check out one of our videos on YouTube to see it.
So the Beanie Bubble movie is a really good movie. It's about Ty Warner, the Beanie Bubble magnate. He's played by Zach Galifianakis. Hysterical. Elizabeth Banks is in it. It was directed by Ron Howard. The only problem is it was on Apple Plus, so not that many people saw it. But it's still out there, and it's a great movie.
What's funny is there's another movie called The Beanie Bubble that's a documentary about the same thing.
Yes, and it came out right around the
Serious?
Yes!
I think it watered it down a little bit, too. There's actually Lego all over this movie if you know what to look for. First time I watched it, I was like, darn it, our Lego didn't make it in there. Like, I never saw any of it. It's actually in, like, at least 3 scenes. They made this for the Lego booth at the trade show for 1985. This is on screen. Yeah, they had
two
two
different
trade
ones?
shows. One was in 85 and one was 94. For 94, we went and set up a city monorail display. And then for 85, we did the space display. And it was so much fun. I brought my daughter up there. We did it. And they had a 1985 toy trade show set up. And here's the Lego booth. We're responsible for setting up the Lego booth. And after we did the Lego booth, they had I'm sure I told you about this. They had a He-Man booth. They had a G.I. Joe booth. They had, any toy you could think of. They literally had probably 100 booths. They recreated it. Like, if you actually go look at that scene, like, only a couple booths made it in. But it was a lot of fun.
So you guys were commissioned to redo sets from 1985?
And set up the booth how Lego would have set it up. And they offered to have us actually be in it as the people working the trade show. It would have involved us being out of the office for a few days, basically just stand-in work, and you know how that is. It's
But
tough.
you could have been on IMDb. Imagine your name, IMDb, the Beanie Bubble.
Background extras, basically.
Lego booth number 7.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the only thing that ended up on the silver or the small screen, is it?
No, we did Call Me Kat is a TV show. It's a spin-off of The Big Bang Theory. So it's the guy who owns the comic book shop from The Big Bang Theory. And then Maya
the
Bialik.
actress. I can't remember what the character
She was on Roseanne, right?
I don't know about that.
Blossom. She was Blossom. She's on Call Me Kat. She is Kat.
Okay.
So that's filmed out in LA, and they were doing a Christmas special episode. This was like October. They were filming in November. They needed it in 2 or 3 weeks, and
Another quick turnaround.
What was it? What did they need?
So they wanted.
This was. Let me preface this. This was maybe the most convoluted prompt for a build we've ever received, because there was a lot of back and forth on this.
There was, because they weren't 100% sure what they... It was interesting. It was really interesting because it was very conceptual. So what they do is they decorate their bars, all the bars in the area on that TV show, decorate their establishments for Christmas or something like that.
For like a Christmas bar
and
crawl.
as a Christmas theme. So the bar owner wants to show everybody, his employees, his idea for this year's Christmas theme. The idea was to make it spacey. He built a model out of Lego, which is what we built, to show his employees.
3 feet
And they
by 2
wanted it
feet.
lit up, so we had to get... I think we ended up buying like 3 different style LED strips before we settled on
A lot
what we
of
wanted.
lights.
We built those into the base of it and around it. Christmas lights, tons and tons of Christmas lights.
There was a model of the bar.
So we
yeah.
needed to get pictures of the actual bar, and then we had to make it look spacey. So we had
and
like
Christmas. So the prompt
and
was
Christmassy.
the prompt
Yes.
was the base bar was a Dungeons and Dragons themed like board game bar.
So
Yes.
it's already themed.
Right,
Yeah.
so
No, it has
it's
to
a
be
Dungeons and
spacey.
Dragons bar decorated for Christmas, also with
Space.
Yeah.
space theme.
Yeah.
It was just it was a real melting pot of ideas.
It turned out phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
It was exactly what they were looking for, if not more. We had to build characters.
Dressed up in
and
costume.
We all probably had 6 to 8 people working on it. And
It's just
they
really fun.
Everybody contributed a little bit to it.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was teamwork. It worked out.
We added the lights. They also added like
Yeah.
some little fog things.
I think
to
I had it on remote.
Yeah.
And then we shipped it to them. It was in like the first minute of the
It was early
episode.
on. It got a lot of nice like close-ups and stuff
It
too.
did,
It wasn't just
yeah.
like a little side prop.
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
like a voiceover with George Takei in
It's
the episode.
it's just not Spider-Man. No way.
Yeah.
I watched the rest of the show. It was I don't know. The humor wasn't
we-
my
we
speed.
have gotten a lot of requests over the years that don't come to fruition from the studios. It'll be like, oh, we'll add this scene into this movie. We had one for Spider-Man No Way Home. I don't really want to talk about it because it never made it, but it was like still could be in fruition, but it would be like a spoiler. You know how they do all the Easter eggs?
Yeah.
We made it, but it didn't make it in the film. But then there was a movie called Noelle, I think, with Anna Kendricks, and it was a Christmas movie, and it was really good. They were going to have somebody drop a Death Star or break a big Lego model, and we quoted it. They never actually did it. So, and then they didn't have any Lego. And there is quite a bit of stuff like that where they just decide not to do it.
Just at the last minute, oh, we can't do it, okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of stuff never panning out, let's talk about the big one that we got actually pretty far in the design. What happened? Why did it not go anywhere?
I would say from the outside looking in, they wanted something that just couldn't be built out of Lego.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes we get companies, they don't know as much about Lego as we do. So sometimes we get companies with unrealistic expectations, like we talked about before, either with the timeline for something. I mean, there will be people who reach out to us that are like, oh yeah, we need this 4-foot tall sculpture in a week, and we just have right out of the gate we have to say this is impossible. We wish you the best of luck finding somebody else who can do that, but we're not fit for that.
So they wanted a Titanic-sized boat,
the size of the Lego Titanic set,
and they wanted a lot of them to give out as gifts.
They wanted it to be bigger originally. This was an overseas company, but I remember that they originally wanted it 100 centimeters long, and I think we convinced them to scale it back to 70 centimeters long.
I think where most of the holdup is that it's Lego. And the hull of the boat had these curves in it that you can't not pixelate. Number one, it's coming down, so that's even harder because you need inverted slopes.
Yeah, the Titanic hull is mostly just kind of a tapered oval for the most part, but this was a more modern
it had a lot of weird
vessel
curves.
that had much more complex curvature. And what we typically run into and how we typically build...
I'm sorry, dude, keep going.
What we typically run into and build is that these companies are reaching out because they want a Lego model, because they want it to look like Lego. So oftentimes for these bigger sculptures, we're going with more of what's typically called the mini-land scale, the mini-land look, where it's meant to look like Lego, rather than
blocky.
A Lego set like the Titanic, which looks more like a scale model that's a very clean, very polished style. So the very first iteration of this boat hull that we built was totally pixelated, bricks just sticking out, sculpted with the studs like you would see at Legoland. And they wrote back to us and they said that the hull just looks too jagged. It's not smooth enough for our liking. And we're like, okay, we can try something else. So the second attempt we did was the same basic structure, still mostly basic bricks, studs up configuration, but using more slopes and things, so there weren't the exposed studs anymore. So even though there was kind of a stepping in one direction, one of the other directions, it was more sloped off, lots of inverted slopes and slopes to cover up all those studs. And we got pretty much the same feedback from them, was that it was just still too jagged. And they started providing us with some examples of more what they were looking for. And the examples they gave were the Maersk container ship set, I think the Titanic. So we're like, okay, and we went through them one at a time. I was emailing back and forth with them all the time at this point. And I went through each of those examples and explained basically why it wasn't going to work for this particular ship. With the Maersk ship, they were using those prefab molded hull pieces that only go up to 8 studs wide, 10 studs wide. And at the scale of this ship, I mean, we were talking this was at least 16 studs wide. So it just, that wouldn't work. With the Titanic, same issue that I was talking about. The Titanic is just kind of comes to a taper at the front.
Much simpler.
This came to a taper, but there was an undercut, and then you had one of those big kind of rounded bullnose things under the water that cuts the water, and then the back end was more complex as well. They were also, this was a 70 centimeter boat, but they needed a lot of copies of it. It was going to be it was going to be a kit,
50
with
copies,
instructions,
so,
and shipped overseas.
Part of the problem was every time Daniel sends them a picture and they want changes, he's got to go rechange the whole thing. That's just eating away at our costs. And we always end up changing something to the customer's specifications. Not always, actually. Usually we don't, but we will.
You're right. On a project of this scale, this is sometimes where building physically as opposed to digitally can be more of a detriment, because sometimes we get feedback. In this instance, the whole hull of the boat was red and blue, and then there's a whole bunch of equipment and detail work on top. There's the housing with the bridge, and then there's lots of equipment and stuff. Based on the reference pictures we had received, which were lots of computer models and digital renderings and things, because I think this vessel hadn't actually been built yet. We did it based on the colors in the picture. Red hull, the anti-fouling paint is typically the red, then there's a blue layer, and then all the stuff on the top was white. We write to them and we send them the pictures, and they're like, oh, can you change all of the white to gray. And it's like, well, yeah, but it like you said, it took us a lot of extra time. It's not like going in a digital model and clicking the paint bucket and just doing switch all white to all gray. So in that case, sometimes it costs us a little more time.
In a process like this where they never get an end product, are you charging them for this pre-work
We did
stuff?
charge a design fee for this one, especially because it was so big, and we had that was all negotiated ahead of time. It's like, okay, well, we'll do the design. You know, we estimate how many hours it's going to take just to build this one model, and then maybe a change. That's what we charge them. We do it. It's all a guess, really.
Yeah.
We've just been doing it for long enough to
We've
know
been
how to
doing
do it pretty well.
yeah, we've done hundreds of commissions. So we have a great idea. Daniel and I just talk about it and get our calculators out, and it's like, okay, it's going to take us this long. It's going to cost us this much money in
The parts, the
in
labor.
time and parts, which doing one model, like the parts don't cost anything. It is all time. We figure out the costs, and then we want to give them options too. So like if they want this, but they want it like this big, it's like, if we could use this size wheel, we can make it this big, and it would cost a lot less money, and it would look better. We try to give them options.
Again, because we know the Lego, we can figure out what's going to kind of dictate the scale for a particular model. So with lots of houses and buildings and things, we base it off of the size of window and door frames. So if a door frame is going to be a door, you know, that's you're at minifig scale. Otherwise, you can use a smaller window, you know, one of the 1x2x3 windows to represent a door. Now you're kind of at mini scale. You could scale it one down smaller than that and do like micro scale, which is more like architecture. We're using a lot of like headlight bricks and things. So same thing with like wheels and things. We can have that insight to kind of give them options and say, you could do it at this scale for this price, this scale for this price, or this scale for this price. So that they're not trying to give us a dimension that we have to shoehorn into.
Along the same lines, what a lot of companies want to do when they're having events and they want interactive things for people to do is we'll give them ideas. They're like, hey, we want this and this, and it's usually something that doesn't actually work out very well because we've done it before. So then we give them suggestions. Hey, this is a little bit more affordable and a little more interactive, and it has worked for us in the past. Some of those things could be like a mosaic where they help build the mosaic, which we've done a few of those. We would prefer not to have a live helper or builder on site. It's just not necessary. So we give them ideas to do things where they don't need to have that extra cost of a live person.
Going back to the ship one, how did that one end? You kept sending them designs and they eventually said, okay, this isn't going to work?
So we did those first two hull iterations, and then I think we attempted one more. No, actually we attempted two more hull iterations, so I gave them three options. It was the second hull iteration that used a lot of the slopes and inverted slopes. Then there was another one where we were doing it, again with more basic slopes, but turned on their sides, so it basically just changed the direction where the kind of layering was, because when it was vertical, the stepping was kind of in the horizontal axis, and then we changed it to being on its side. And then the third option was a more kind of Titanic style with a lot of the curved slopes and tiles and things. And we said, you know, here are your three options, and here's going to be the pros and cons of each. You know, if this more Titanic style is what you're looking for, it's going to cost a lot more money than we originally estimated that the per kit cost was going to be. It may take more time. You know, they had a time constraint, I think, for this project as well. We said, here's the options of what's going to be doable. Here's the pros and cons of each. I think at that point was when they wrote back and just said that I didn't think we were going to be able to reach something that was going to work for everybody. So it was a little disheartening, but I mean, there's not much else we can do when we give them, here's the options of what we're able to do, you know. So I think in the end they were just looking for something that was...
That's impossible.
Like I said, a lot of people who reach out because they want a Lego model to look like a Lego model, and it seemed more like this company was looking for... They just wanted a scale model, in which case they should have reached out to a modeling company.
A toy manufacturer.
A manufacturer,
they
like that.
needed somebody to build an actual mold of their... their whole...
It seemed like the Lego was kind of an afterthought. We were going to ship them as kits more out of necessity because shipping built models overseas would not go well. They were going to give them to, I think, a bunch of their different financing companies as gifts or something, and so they were just going to have somebody rebuild the kits over there before giving them to them anyway. So it was just kind of a byproduct of necessity.
What's interesting is that recently I was getting Facebook advertisements about a company that would make corporate kits for people. And of course they were calling them Lego kits, but I was interested, of course, so I clicked on it and it says Lego compatible bricks. So they would have made them potentially, if they wanted to spend enough money, a custom piece maybe for it. Whereas we're just going to use Lego pieces unless the client has a request for otherwise. Which of all of our hundreds of models that we've done, one client did ask us to use fake Lego in it, and they actually weren't bad. They were yellow profile bricks.
Yes.
Profile,
I forgot about this.
Bricks?
The yellow masonry bricks. I don't know if they're out by now, but they didn't exist at the time. Standard yellow 1x2 Lego masonry
About
bricks.
a year or two ago, we did a yellow castle.
I was going to say the one we didn't talk about was the yellow castle.
Yeah.
It was like a beefed up version of the original castle, and it was enormous.
Huge, yeah.
It's huge.
It was beautiful too.
Actually, and that's interesting because that's something else. We're quoting this, and we're just using our best guess, and that's like a car mechanic. When they give you a quote, they're using their best guess. They don't know how long it's going to take or exactly if that's going to fix the problem. One of my good friends is a car mechanic, and I know him pretty well, and he's told me,
it's an educated guess.
You're diagnosing it, but it might not fix it. Just like a surgery might not fix your physical problem. It's kind of like a doctor, right? So just like anything. So we're giving our best guess. And the yellow castle we way under quoted, because we quoted it to be a certain size, and the guy who was building it liked castles a little bit too much, I think.
He overdid it.
And he made it twice as big as it should have been, which is huge. It was massive. So I think we might have actually lost money on that. But that's fine, because it doesn't happen. That was the only one I can think of that ever happened.
Yeah.
But the customer sent us the profile bricks to use, and they were fake Lego.
There were some custom flags on there, I think, as well.
But he just had to have those masonry bricks in it. So okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if the part has come out in that color by now, but at the time, definitely.
It looked good and it felt good. I mean, it looked like
they were good quality bricks.
So if you, dear viewer or listener, want to have your own custom commission done by Atlanta Brick Co., what are you going to look for? What do you ask for from a potential client?
We do list it on that commissions page where you can go see examples of all of our previous work. We have pictures of all these ones we've mentioned.
There's a picture of me
dozens
on
of
there
others.
Too, and Daniel's on there.
Some headshots on there. The biggest things that we need out of the gate are obviously what you want built. If there's reference pictures, that helps a lot. We get a lot of people who just reach out describing what they want. They don't provide any pictures, and it's like, well, okay, we need to see it because there's a lot of factors we have to take into account. Like, are there any rare colors in it that are going to make it more expensive? Anything that adds more difficulty for sourcing parts. Dimensions or scale. I mean, if you have a size that it needs to fill, or if you want it to be minifig scale versus micro scale versus whatever scale, that obviously helps, and we provide a lot of guidance on that when clients aren't sure. Of course.
And it wouldn't hurt if you do have a budget. It wouldn't hurt to give us that budget, because it's not going to affect what you get from us. Like, we're not, if they say, hey, this is something I want to spend about $3,000 on, we're not going to make sure we charge you $3,000.
Yeah.
We'll give you a $3,000 model, and then if you want an $800 model, this is what it looks like.
Right.
Gives
us a jumping off point.
We try to give options. Somebody wants a $5,000 build done for $200, but they didn't tell us that up front.
Yeah.
So it would have been, we could have just cut the whole thing quickly and said, for $200, this is what you get.
Yeah.
Pictures or reference pictures of what you want built, size or scale, any budgetary constraints, and then deadline is a big one. Because sometimes we'll get ones that are fantastic. They'll say, oh yeah, I've got a wedding or a birthday or something. I'm trying to give this gift, and it's 8 months away. Perfect, beautiful. And then we get other ones where it's next week or 2 weeks from now, and it's like, well, that's tough.
How about a gift card instead?
Right.
Here's an Atlanta Brick Co. gift card.
How about this person's birthday next year?
Yeah.
Those are probably the biggest factors. But we can always ask the right questions to get the info we need to provide a quote.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week. Thank you guys so much.
Oh gosh, there's so many we could have mentioned.